I never intended to betray him. That's what I keep repeating to myself, though the words feel emptier each time. Betrayal isn't planned. It just happens slowly. One excuse, one message, one lonely evening at a time. My name is Rachel, 34. I've been married to Ethan, 37, for 8 years. To anyone watching us, we seemed strong. He worked long hours at a logistics firm, came home tired but smiling, and always remembered to ask about my day. The kind of husband most women would call perfect. I used to think I was lucky too. But routine is a quiet predator. It doesn't attack, it creeps in softly. Somewhere between dinner dishes and TV reruns, I began to feel unseen. Ethan didn't notice when I changed my hair, lost weight, or when my laughter faded. He was kind, always kind, but distracted, too at ease. And comfort, I learned, can sometimes feel like neglect. That's when Daniel appeared, a co-worker from the design studio where I work part-time. He listened. That was all it took. Genuine attention, unguarded and warm. When I spoke, his eyes didn't drift to a screen. When he laughed, it reached his eyes. It's terrifying how easily appreciation can become oxygen when you've been suffocating without it. It started with coffee breaks, harmless messages after work, then longer talks about dreams, frustrations, and marriage. One late night after finishing a project, we stayed behind. The city lights outside seemed to hold their breath. Daniel's hand brushed mine as he passed a file, and I didn't move away. The next thing I remember was silence, his apartment, my phone face down, Ethan's name glowing before fading into darkness. I told myself I'd explain someday, that it was a single mistake, but deep down I knew something inside had broken. When I returned home the next morning, Ethan was still awake, the TV flickering softly. On the coffee table sat a plate of food he must have reheated twice. He looked up, relieved more than suspicious, and asked gently, "You okay?" "You didn't answer my texts." "Dead battery." "Bad traffic." I lied. He smiled, that small, trusting smile that once made me feel safe. That morning, it pierced me. I showered, letting the hot water burn my skin, hoping pain could cleanse guilt. Days turned into weeks. I kept promising myself it would end, that I'd choose Ethan, remember our vows. But I kept slipping. Each secret night added another layer of poison over what we'd built. Ethan stayed patient, almost saintly. Every night, he waited for me to come home. Sometimes he'd fall asleep on the couch, a half-typed "Are you safe?" glowing on his phone. Still, I lied. The heart twists logic in cruel ways. I told myself I was searching for what Ethan had lost, that it wasn't about betrayal, but longing. The truth was simpler, uglier. I wanted to feel chosen again, even if it meant breaking the one person who had always chosen me. Then came the night everything changed. Ethan called as I was leaving Daniel's apartment near dawn. His voice was steady, but heavy, the kind that makes the world tilt. "Rachel," he said, "don't rush home. I'm going to Mom's for a few days. We both need some space." My mouth went dry. He didn't yell, didn't accuse. That calm shattered me more than anger ever could. I sat on our bed that morning, the sheets still carrying his scent, detergent and faint cologne. The house felt too still, too clean. His absence echoed through every room. For the first time in months, I tried to see things through his eyes. The late nights, the vague excuses, my fading warmth. I had turned our marriage into a puzzle he was too gentle to question. When he came back 3 days later, I was in the kitchen making coffee he wouldn't drink. He placed his keys on the counter, face calm but distant. "Did you eat?" I asked weakly. He looked at me for a long time before replying. "I did." "Rachel, can we talk?" It was the way he said my name, not angry, not pleading, just final. I nodded. He didn't ask if there was someone else. He already knew. Maybe he had for weeks. He only said, "When did you stop being honest with me?" That question broke me. I could have lied again, but his eyes made truth the only option. "A few months ago," I whispered. "It wasn't supposed to happen." He closed his eyes, exhaled slowly, and nodded. "It never is." The silence that followed was unbearable. He didn't shout or demand answers. That mercy hurt more than rage. I wanted him to scream, to hate me, to give me something that made sense. But he just looked tired, like a man who'd finally realized love can't hold someone who's already left in spirit. I waited for you every night, he said quietly. Not because I didn't trust you. I just hoped whatever was pulling you away could still be fixed. But now I see waiting was my mistake. I couldn't look up. Tears came hot and useless. Ethan, I'm sorry. He shook his head. You're sorry because you got caught, not because you stopped loving him. He stood, paused at the doorway. You don't have to pack tonight. I'll stay at Mom's for a while. I'll figure out what's next. He didn't slam the door or look back. That quiet exit felt like the loudest goodbye I'd ever heard. For weeks after, I lived surrounded by ghosts of our life. His coffee mug, his jacket, his laugh trapped in memory. Daniel called, texted, even came by, but I couldn't face him. The excitement I once felt turned to ash. I finally understood real loneliness. Not being alone, but being left with yourself after destroying someone who loved you completely. Months passed. Papers were signed. No fights, no closure, just silence and the weight of all we didn't say. I still see Ethan sometimes at the grocery store, once in a cafe. He looks lighter now, peaceful, like letting me go freed him. I wish I could say the same for me. People talk about forgiveness and lessons, but some mistakes don't heal. They carve you hollow, so you'll never forget. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve it. But every night, when the house grows still, I think about the man who waited faithfully while I was somewhere else pretending to feel alive. And now I realize he wasn't waiting for me.